What if the flowers you lovingly place on your table, the ones you believe bring peace, beauty, and light, are actually whispering stories of grief, endings, and spiritual confusion into your home? It sounds dramatic, but this is the quiet mistake thousands make without realizing, thinking that all flowers uplift energy simply because they're beautiful. In Feng Shui and Buddhist tradition, form is not neutral. Every bloom carries its own vibration. And some, no matter how elegant, do more to anchor sorrow than inspire renewal. You might recall this scene, a home full of love, yet the air always feels strangely heavy. The sleep isn't deep. Conversations feel dull. You've placed chrysanthemums near the kitchen for brightness, or poppies by the bed because they look poetic, but something's off, and you can't quite explain why. So ask yourself, do you decorate to please the eye or to nourish the spirit? Do you know what message your home is silently repeating, day after day? In this video, we'll uncover 5 flowers that seem harmless but may be quietly disturbing your home's Kai. Not out of superstition, but through real energy patterns, real stories, and real transformation. If you've ever felt that something beautiful in your home still doesn't feel quite right, this may be the reason. And this may be the change you didn't know you were ready for. 1. The black rose, symbol of closure, not comfort. What if the flower you place to impress the eye is silently pressing against your spirit? The black rose, so elegant, so rare, is not simply a symbol of mystery. In the subtle language of energy, it is a mark of closure, of endings, of weight. And yet, so many of us place it near our beds, beside our meditation corners, or at the entrance of our homes, believing it adds sophistication. We don't realize that what we've welcomed is not refinement, but residue. You might have seen it before, a preserved black rose in a glass dome, sitting quietly on someone's desk or a shelf by the doorway. It doesn't wilt. It doesn't ask much, but the air around it feels still, not in a peaceful way, but in a way that lacks movement. Over time, the room where it lives begins to feel flat. Thoughts feel slower. Sleep becomes lighter. The energy of life, Kai, stops circulating. What once felt minimal now feels muted, and no one suspects the flower. In Feng Shui, black is associated with the water element. It can be wise, deep, and nourishing when balanced. But when placed carelessly or excessively, it suppresses fire, the element of clarity, action, and joy. A black rose doesn't bloom from celebration. It's a symbol of grief unspoken, endings not yet digested, transitions that have stalled instead of completing. It absorbs rather than reflects, holds rather than flows. In Buddhist thought, it resonates with the space between lives, the bardo, a liminal zone where things are neither here nor gone. That same energy, if held too long in your home, starts to cloud not just a room, but your clarity of mind. This isn't superstition, it's energetic logic, because every form in your space sends a message to your nervous system. And when a flower like the black rose is placed in an area meant for growth, like your bedroom, your creative zone, or the entrance where opportunity flows in, it doesn't support life. It suppresses it. Clients have described subtle fatigue, confusion, or emotional fog settling in with no clear reason. And often the reason is aesthetic choices made without energetic awareness. But the solution doesn't require fear, only honesty. If you love the black rose, you don't have to remove it entirely. You simply need to let it live in the right context. Place it somewhere that honors endings, a memory shelf, a reflective corner, a space dedicated to what has passed. Pair it with something that brings balance, a white candle for light, a crystal for clarity, or a warm wooden object to ground the space. Let it be a symbol you engage with intentionally, not an unexamined backdrop. The deeper correction lies not just in moving the rose, but in sensing your space again. Walk into the room where it rests. Breathe slowly. Notice your posture. Is your body leaning in or pulling back? Are your thoughts softening or stalling? Because your home doesn't lie, it reflects what you allow. And so the question is not whether a black rose is good or bad. The question is, what part of your life are you still silently mourning? And does that part need to live in the center of your home, or in a gentler, quieter corner where it can finally rest? Some flowers are not meant to open paths, but to close chapters. Let them do so with reverence, but also with boundaries. Because when the message of your home shifts from endings to beginnings, your life will start to feel like it can move forward again, without apology, without weight. Like breath finally released. 2. The poppy, the flower that numbs. There are flowers that make you pause, not because they surprise you, but because they seem to pull time inward. The poppy is one of them. It doesn't enter the room. It lingers, like a memory half forgotten, like a song you can't quite hear. You don't think much when you place it near your bed or next to the window where morning light falls. It looks delicate, poetic, something between stillness and dream. But slowly things begin to shift. You sleep longer but wake up tired. You stare at your to-do list but don't move. There's no drama, just a quiet, increasing distance between who you were and who you can't seem to access anymore. In Feng Shui, the poppy embodies excessive yin, the principle of stillness, passivity, and inward withdrawal. Yin is sacred when in balance. It's the night that restores, the shade that cools. But in excess, yin becomes stagnation. It dulls the spark. It mutes your fire, the very essence of motivation, warmth, clarity, and will. Unlike grounding plants like bamboo or sage that stabilize, the poppy has no anchor. It floats. And anything in your home that floats without holding can begin to dissolve your energetic center from within. The visual softness of the poppy mirrors its energetic effect. It doesn't ask you to leave your life. It simply makes your life feel further away. In myth and medicine, the poppy has long been associated with sleep, not the restorative kind, but the sedated, disconnected kind. In ancient Greece, it was tied to Hypnos and Morpheus, the gods of sleep and dream. In war memorials across the West, red poppies bloom over the silence of death. In all these settings, it carries one message: remember but don't return. So what happens when you place this flower in your workspace, your kitchen, your creative corner? The answer isn't loud, but it is persistent. You start forgetting what lit you up. You hesitate more, you pause longer. You stop reaching. The fire within your personal kai becomes smoke. The poppy's frequency doesn't block you. It drifts you away from yourself. I've seen this happen with artists, mothers, elders, people who placed poppies in their homes during difficult seasons, looking for softness, and found instead a kind of emotional invisibility. They began feeling out of rhythm with time, less alive in their own rituals, not unhappy, just unreachable, as if life was happening a few inches outside their body. But here's the truth Feng Shui teaches: no energy is inherently wrong. It just needs to be in the right place with the right intention. If you're in a period of grief, if you're healing and need a symbolic pause, the poppy can serve you, briefly. But it should never occupy the heart of your home. Not your kitchen, which governs nourishment and family bonds. Not your desk, where your clarity lives. Not your bedroom, where your dreams should arise from within, not from a numbing fog. If you've already brought the poppy in, don't discard it. Transform its role. Move it to a reflective corner near books or journals, or an altar for honoring the past. Surround it with items that hold warm memory, not passive silence. Then reawaken the room with life-sparking elements. Add lemongrass, which clears stagnant air and mental fog. Introduce mint, which is cooling but alert. Place a sunstone nearby, an object that invites vitality even when used in stillness. If your home has been feeling dim and your mind heavy, consider this. Maybe it's not burnout. Maybe it's subtle oversaturation of yin. Maybe the flower that seemed to bring softness is actually folding your energy inward, so gently you didn't notice until now. And so I'll leave you with this. When you walk into your home, do you feel yourself arriving, or do you feel like you're still somewhere else? Because sometimes the most beautiful flower in the room isn't helping you rest. It's helping you disappear. 3. Red spider lily, the unfinished goodbye. It doesn't bloom where things grow, it blooms where things end. The red spider lily never arrives with celebration, it arrives with farewell. But what happens when we keep that farewell blooming beside our front door or in the middle of our daily life? We don't move on, we stay, quietly, spiritually, emotionally. There's something captivating about the red spider lily. Its curling petals like tongues of fire, its slender stamens stretching outward like signals from another world. In gardens, it commands attention. In temples, it marks passage. But in homes, especially when placed unconsciously, it begins to whisper a message that many don't realize they're repeating. Something here is still unfinished. You've probably seen it in late summer or early fall, blooming suddenly and without leaves. Perhaps you've planted it yourself, thinking its color brings vitality. Or you've admired it in a neighbor's yard, placed neatly along the walkway. Some even grow them in front of the house, hoping for a dramatic, elegant welcome. But slowly, the home begins to feel emotionally colder. Moods become heavier. Morning feels like dusk. It's not immediate, but over time, you begin to carry a lingering ache you can't explain. In East Asian cultures, the red spider lily, called higanbana in Japan, manjusaka in China, is known as the flower of the other shore. It blooms near temples, grave sites, and riverbanks believed to separate the living from the dead. In Buddhist symbolism, it is associated with the bardo, the intermediate state between death and rebirth. It is not a flower of evil, but of transition, of release that has not yet happened. And in Feng Shui, it carries a strong, directional, but unbalanced energy. It pulls Kai outward, dispersing focus, warmth, and presence. The flower itself doesn't hold, it pushes away. That which is not finished in your heart, it repeats in your home. Placed too close to your front entrance, it affects the mouth of Kai, the area where opportunity, wealth, and relationships flow in. Instead of inviting new beginnings, the red spider lily signals a holding pattern. Do not enter. We are still letting go. In a living room, it may dampen the emotional warmth of conversations. In a bedroom, it can affect sleep, reinforcing subtle grief loops or emotional longing. Even in gardens, when lined along main walkways or facing outward, it creates energetic misalignment, a quiet invitation for stagnation to settle. This misalignment is not always dramatic, but it becomes part of the atmosphere. Relationships may feel stuck in old dynamics. Creative projects stall before completion. Grief, unspoken, unfelt, lingers like fog. And perhaps most poignantly, your home stops feeling like it's helping you live forward. Instead, it becomes a shrine to something unresolved. But as with all forms in Feng Shui, the solution is not destruction. It is placement, intention, redirection. The red spider lily should not sit at the entrance of your life. It should live at the edges. If you feel emotionally connected to it, move it toward the far corners of your garden, especially along the western or northern boundaries, which in the Bagua map correspond to completion and reflection. Use it in remembrance areas, perhaps near an altar, beside a journal shelf, or in a corner where you actively process grief or ancestral connection. To rebalance the affected space, reintroduce flowers that carry forward-moving energy. Calendula, with its golden warmth, brings vitality and softness. Peonies, symbols of love and prosperity, can shift the room's frequency from loss to growth. Even simple daisies, placed near where the spider lily once stood, can re-anchor the home in the present instead of the past. And remember, space matters. Don't plant these symbols of farewell in the places where your life opens, in the hallway, the living room, or near the threshold of the home. There is also value in ritual. If you've kept red spider lilies for a loved one you lost, acknowledge them. Light a candle, say a name. Then move the flower gently, not as rejection, but as release. Let it remain sacred, but not central. Because that is the deeper teaching the red spider lily offers. Honor, but do not cling. Grief has its season, but your home must serve your life, not your lingering pain. When you place symbols of sorrow at the heart of your living space, you invite looping. When you relocate them with reverence, you begin to heal. You return. So ask yourself now, what part of your story still stands at the doorway of your home, and is it time not to forget, but to bloom something else? Something that speaks not of what's gone, but of what's still possible. Let the red spider lily live in its rightful place, as a flower that knows how to say goodbye. And let your home, softly and surely, begin again. 4. Angel's Trumpet, a gate you didn't know you opened. It hangs like a trumpet, but what it announces is not always harmony. The angel's trumpet, so soft, so divine in name, might not be opening your heart, but opening something else. Something you didn't mean to invite. At first glance, it looks otherworldly, large, elegant, cascading like a chandelier made of petals. You may have seen it hanging in someone's garden archway, planted along a courtyard wall, or even grown near an entrance to make the space feel enchanted. And it does, but enchantment in Feng Shui isn't always blessing. Sometimes it's unfiltered openness, and when left unguarded, openness becomes exposure. People are drawn to the angel's trumpet for good reason. Its blossoms are hypnotic. Its fragrance at dusk is intoxicating. But most people don't know that the plant, botanically called brugmansia, has long been associated with spiritual threshold states. In South American traditions, it's used to induce trance, dream walking, and altered states of awareness. This is not casual energy. This is ceremonial energy, and that distinction matters. In the language of Feng Shui, angel's trumpet carries an energy that descends. Its trumpet-shaped blossoms pull energy downward, its form symbolizing a soft but persistent collapse of Kai. Unlike upward-facing flowers that invite growth and expansion, this plant draws energy into itself and then releases it without structure. That may sound poetic, but in the wrong place, it's energetically destabilizing. When planted near the mouth of Kai, your front entrance, it behaves like an open gate. Not a door you chose to open, but one that stays ajar all the time. People in these homes often describe strange energy. Arguments that begin without reason, fatigue that lingers even after rest, or an eerie sense of being too open to external moods. Children may become restless. Pets avoid certain corners. Even technology behaves erratically. Wi-Fi interruptions, missed calls, flickering lights, and no one thinks to blame the flower. The space near your entrance sets the tone for your entire home. It's the filter through which opportunity, relationships, and energetic flow arrive. When that filter becomes too porous, your home stops holding energy. It becomes a pass-through. An angel's trumpet by nature encourages this. It does not contain, it disperses. Placed near bedrooms, it can weaken your grounding during sleep. Placed near dining areas, it may subtly unravel the cohesion of family conversations. In meditation rooms, it invites vulnerability, not clarity. But as always, Feng Shui is not about fear. It's about awareness. You don't have to remove the angel's trumpet entirely. What you do need is discernment of placement and a shift in context. This is not a flower that belongs by your front door, nor over your windows or along primary walkways. Instead, guide it gently to a place of spiritual containment, the far edge of a garden, where its trance-like energy can dissipate safely into open space. If you must keep it near the home, never let it directly face an entry point or overhang where people frequently pass beneath. Prune it back regularly and balance its presence with grounding plants, like bamboo, rosemary, or even flowering jasmine, which invites joy but protects the edges of the home with gentle clarity. If your space already feels too open, consider reinforcing your energetic boundary. Add a small wind chime made of wood or metal near the front door. This restores rhythm. Place a stone basin of water or a small planter of protective herbs like sage or lemongrass just inside the entry. These do not just decorate, they signal containment. And containment is how peace remains. There's also a subtler invitation hidden here. If you're drawn to angel's trumpet during a major life transition, after a breakup, a loss, or a spiritual awakening, it may be because a part of you is seeking to dissolve, to unform. To let go, that's valid, but even spiritual dissolution must be guided. A ceremony without a container is not healing, it's leakage. Let the presence of angel's trumpet ask you a question instead of answer one. What part of you longs to blur the edges? And are you blurring out of expansion or exhaustion? The shape of this flower teaches us that not every gateway is meant to be left open. Some are meant to be visited, honored, and then gently closed. So before you plant what you cannot fully hold, pause. Let your home remain sacred, not just in beauty, but in sovereignty. Because even the softest wind can carry what you're not yet ready to receive. And not every whisper, no matter how floral, is meant for your ears. At your door, what's blooming? Invitation or invocation? And is your space ready to answer either one? 5. Golden chrysanthemum, when memory outweighs joy. It glows like sunlight, bright, full, sacred. But in Feng Shui, even gold can become too heavy. And sometimes the golden chrysanthemum, so often associated with beauty and reverence, quietly holds more grief than your home is built to carry. We often place flowers in our homes with simple intentions, to brighten a space, to add warmth, to remember someone dear. Chrysanthemums, especially golden ones, seem perfect for this. They stand tall, they last long, and in many Asian cultures, they are revered for their symbolism, longevity, nobility, even spiritual purity. But what's often misunderstood is that in Buddhist and East Asian traditions, this flower is also a gatekeeper of remembrance. Not joy, not growth, not the present. It's common to see golden chrysanthemums arranged carefully in living rooms, on kitchen tables, or even right at the entryway. People admire them. They photograph well. But weeks go by and something subtle shifts. The house doesn't feel as light as it used to. Conversations feel subdued. You begin to feel emotionally full in a way you can't quite explain, like your space is holding something you didn't consciously place there. The answer lies not in the color, but in the context. In Feng Shui, flowers are not simply decorative, they're resonant symbols. And the golden chrysanthemum, while radiant, carries the vibration of endings. In Japan, it appears on imperial crests and is offered at graves. In China and Vietnam, it is central to ancestral festivals and ceremonies of remembrance. It is often present in yin spaces, areas meant for stillness, reflection, and connection to the past. Its energy is inward, deep, and still, like a well that holds memory. It is sacred, but also heavy. When placed in spaces governed by yang energy, zones meant for motion, nourishment, laughter, and forward momentum, this flower begins to mute the rhythm. The kitchen, which corresponds to the fire element, requires uplift, cohesion, and daily renewal. The living room, where social energy flows, thrives on openness and interaction. When a flower charged with ancestral frequency sits in these areas, it creates an energetic contradiction. Your body is living, but your space is remembering. Over time, this mismatch can manifest as emotional inertia, feeling stuck or slowed down for no visible reason, sleep disturbances, especially if placed near bedrooms or transition zones, relational distance, less shared laughter, more silence that feels like waiting, a subtle weight in the air, like your home is always holding its breath. But the chrysanthemum isn't the problem. Placement is. If you've placed golden mums in central areas of the home, the first step is not to discard them, but to relocate them with care. These flowers belong in intentional remembrance spaces, altars, east or northwest corners, which support ancestors and spiritual clarity, or a shelf where photographs and incense already hold emotional memory. When placed there, they ground the past instead of bleeding it into the present. To rebalance the spaces where they once stood, introduce flowers with forward-leaning energy. Yellow tulips, sunflowers, or daffodils carry the same golden tone, but without the ancestral weight. They lift instead of anchor. They greet instead of reflect. They belong in kitchens, foyers, and family areas where life continues, not where it pauses. And if you sense that the heaviness hasn't left even after shifting placement, try adding a light source near the new arrangement. A soft candle, a salt lamp, or a mirror to reflect light outward again. Energy responds not just to form, but to the story the space tells. Let the story become one of balance, not burden. Remember, memory is sacred, but sacredness requires boundaries. A home should honor the past without becoming a museum to it. The golden chrysanthemum, placed with intention, can help you remember. But when left to dominate a room, it does something else. It keeps you living under the gentle pressure of what's already gone. So pause and ask yourself, what do your flowers remember for you? And is it possible that you've made space for grief in the very center where joy was meant to grow? Let memory have its corner. And let the rest of your home rise again toward the sun. This was never just a conversation about flowers. It was a quiet unfolding, a reminder that what blooms in your home may also be blooming within you. That every petal, every placement, every arrangement is not just a choice of style, but a reflection of story, of memory, of what you're still holding and what you're finally ready to release. In Feng Shui, flowers are not ornaments. They are messengers. Some speak of clarity, some of closure. Some carry the freshness of new beginnings. Others echo the soft ache of what never fully ended. And when we place them without presence, without listening, we allow those messages to shape the air around us without realizing they're shaping our lives as well. Perhaps you've passed by the same vase each morning, never questioning why you feel a subtle weight in the room. Perhaps you've admired a plant by the window without noticing how your energy slows every time you sit beside it. These are not accidents. They are conversations waiting to be heard. This journey wasn't meant to tell you what to fear. It was meant to ask you what to feel. To invite you to look again, not just at what's beautiful, but at what's true. to sense your home not just as space, but as spirit, and to remember that stillness is not always peace and beauty is not always blessing. So maybe today, before you move anything, you pause, you stand at your doorway, you soften your breath, and you ask, not the house, but yourself, is the energy I've planted here still helping me grow, or has it quietly become a memory I never meant to live inside of? Let that question linger, not to answer it, but to awaken to it.